right, cool. So, Sharon, tell us about Captive State.
Yeah, Captive State is a film that is set in the future. There has been an alien invasion, and because the aliens have shown such amazing technical and sheer numbers, have just basically Earth has decided collectively that there's no point in putting up a fight because we're dead in the water.
Mm,
It's a fait accompli. So the nations of the world have come together and said, okay, we'll accept your overlordship of Earth. You'll leave us alone, and we'll just give you certain sort of vassalage, basically.
mm,
And we're in a world where this state has gone on for a little while, where people have got used to having these overseers, or there's a name for them in the film, I can't remember. But we are living in this state, and there is like a people who cooperate with them, or collaborate with them,
yeah,
but
yeah.
people who cooperate with them and just try to make sure that the world carries on as seamlessly as possible. And for the population of the Earth, everyone has to have like an identity chip so they can be tracked and that everyone knows where they are. And certain things in that civilian life has been restricted. All armies have been disbanded, so there are no standing armies anywhere in the world, and everyone basically has their role to play in society. Amongst all this seemingly, like, okay, we've been given a bad deal, but we're going to live with it and accept it. There is a pocket of resistance. And we see in sort of North America, in a certain area, I forget where it is, Chicago seems to ring a bell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there has been a resistance, and there have been severe reprisals against this resistance. And one whole neighborhood has just been devastated. And we only find out about this in hints and words and messages. And this is after this sort of severe reprisal against his resistance, and now there are hints that there's another sort of resistance cell forming. And the story is that John Goodman is like a police officer who's trying to investigate about this resistance cell and trying to follow the different leads to identify the members of this cell in this community that he was a police officer in before, and now he's sort of a police officer under this new regime, and he's trying to deal with people who've lost relatives because they were in this other resistance group, and trying to stop people from making an irreparable mistake.
Yeah.
And the story goes on.
Very well done for a film you couldn't remember the title of. Very well. So, what do you? We're waiting on tenterhooks here. What did you think of it, Sharon? Tell us. Tell us.
If I can use an expression that my Australian friends used to use, I thought it was toot.
I don't even know what that means, but I think I can take it from context. I can
I,
infer the meaning from context.
I sat and watched this with my brother, and he gave up after about half an hour, and he cleared
Ah,
off. And I said, I've started this. I'm going to watch it to the end, so at least I've got something to review for the podcast. I'm going to do this for the Netflix versus cinema world people. And
we
so
thank you
I
for your
stuck it out.
service.
So I stuck it out. I mean, I thought it was deeply flawed. I thought none of the characters were that particularly interesting. I thought you didn't see enough of the aliens to recognize them as a threat. It was obviously done on a restricted budget. So when you do see the aliens, you see them and you go, "Oh yeah, is that it?" Um, to me, it was just I did not feel any sense of peril. I did not really sense any um, when characters sort of get lost. I didn't feel their sacrifice.
Hmm.
Um, to me, it didn't. I didn't recognize the fact that there'd be any way on this planet that an alien would turn up and we'd all go, all right, fair enough, we're not going to fight. I just that's not going to happen. I can't imagine, Hezbollah suddenly going, you know what, we're just going to disarm, or any nation of the world that's going to say, you know what, yeah, we're just going to disband our army, and we're going to let you take care of everything, and we're just going to let these little brain plants in on it. We're going to carry on as happy as Larry.
Yeah.
No, that's just so the whole premise was just like, well, this is just ridiculous. This
Mm.
would just it's your basic your foundation of your story is just made out of sand. So it's nothing you build upon that that spongy substance is gonna actually hold up a decent story.
So,
So I thought it was a bit of nonsense. It was just
so
total
you mean
nonsense.
Do you mean that they don't even try and intimate that, or maybe in the past there was like a fight, there was a war that Earth
No, they will
lost?
say you just have this picture of this man in a suit, sort of basically shaking hands with an alien representative or something, and sort of going, "Yes, we're going to give over all our rights. The world, I surrender on behalf of the whole world." Um, it was just piffle, really. So I would say I barely made it through it, and when I did, I was like, "I'm glad that's over." I could barely remember the name of it, and if you'd asked me in a week's time, tell me the name of that film that you reviewed last week, I'd be thinking, "Oh, what was it again?" It was. I would say it would probably scrape into a 2 star, but I'd probably say it deserved a 1.5, really,
Okay.
because it was filler of the sort that you'd find in a video shop in the 1980s, that
Oh
they would
yeah.
make by the dozen on a very low budget, and they'd get one big name in it. Like the big name was John Goodman, who would, like, it's almost like he used to be really famous sort of actor that you'd get into these films. I mean, he's still a good actor. He does turn up and he sort of goes, "Wow, he's really good
I mean,
in
I
some
mean,
things." But every now and then you see him in something thinking, you literally did this because someone said, "Do you want to do this thing for, a favor for a student?"
well, that is well, okay, okay. Now I think it might hit in the head hitting the nail on the head there because, well, when you say favorite for a student, because it actually has a good cast. You have John Goodman, you have Ashton Sanders, who was in Moonlight.
Yep.
He played the middle Chiron in Moonlight, and so you had Jonathan Majors, who is cancelled now, but back then was like an up and coming star. You have Vera Farmiga. You have Alan Ruck. He's well known.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
So they should be a good cast. So when we first started watching, we're thinking this should be good, and then it quickly dissolves into
yeah.
something that was just you. I literally barely made it through a conscious.
I think that it was. Yeah, it was. It's directed by Rupert Wyatt as well. Who's he directed the first Caesar Planet of the Apes movie, the first reboot thing.
Yeah,
So yeah, it has good people, but I think it was when you talk about the money thing. I think it was independently made, but it is I will. Yeah, but anyway, well, 1.5 stars, 1.5
yeah,
stars, 2-1, whichever Schrodinger one you want to go with for
yeah,
Captain State. Let us save you from that, Sharon, and not have you talk about it anymore.
yeah.
And you